Hi everyone, John Pokerchip Friedberg here with another special episode of Stacking Chips. We're here with Kevin Saul, Below Above, who I've had on the show once before, but I promised him if he made the final table of the Bellagio Cup that
Correction,
I would have him.
John. I promised you that if I made the final table, I would come back on the show.
Okay, that's really what happened. So,
You actually said when you make the final table, I'd like to have you back on the show.
That's right.
And
So
I said deal.
that's how much faith I have. So needless to say, Kevin Below Above Saul has made the final table of the Bellagio Cup WPT event. He's got a massive stack. Kevin, tell us about the situation right now.
Well, it's I put myself in a great position. I got 4.2 million. There's 10.6 in play, so I got just about 40% of the chips in play. Mattisau and Shane Schlegler, they both have like around 1.8, like neck and neck for second and third. And then the other three, Danny Wong, Eric, and the other gentleman I think he's Russian, I'm not even trying to pronounce his name, they're all between like 800,000 and a million. But it shouldn't be a crapshoot like most WPT final tables.
Well, they changed the structure finally.
Yeah, this is supposed to be the experimental one, and we're actually, instead of having 60-minute levels, Jack McClelland has found a way to get us 90-minute levels throughout the rest of the tournament and use the Bellagio structure. So thank you, Jack, for that.
Jack's a great tournament director, by the way. Just in case you. Oh, hey, Jack.
He is great.
But so if I'm not mistaken,
and then when we get heads up, it's 60-minute levels.
Okay, but it won't.
In the past, it was 60-minute levels and 30-minute levels, and you lose so many hands from the.
Plus, they adjust the blinds so much, but they're sticking to the standard schedule now.
Size rule. We got 75 minutes at 12K, 24K with the 3K ante.
And you have
then we go to 15,
4 million.
30, 20, 40. I mean, it's just, there's going to be so much play. But when we were talking, Shania kind of said something interesting last night afterwards. We were talking, and he was like, we had 15 really tough players, coming down to the final table, and somehow we got to the final table in like an hour and a half. Tournaments are tournaments, and despite the structure, people find ways to go broke. So the action might still be fast. I imagine it's going to be slow in the beginning. I know my plan is to just do what I've been doing the whole time.
Well, let me interrupt you for a second. So, if I'm not mistaken, you've had the chip lead in this tournament nonstop. Maybe with the exception of day one when you built up the chip lead by the end of the day. But
right.
Have you ever not been in the chip lead in 5 days?
I ended the day, each day, with the chip lead.
Okay.
I had 262,075 chips at the end of day 1A. And then there's a guy with 180,000 during my flight. But then the two chip leaders from the other flights had 130,000 and 100,000. So like I had 2 to 1 at least on those guys. And then at the end of day 2, I ended with 564,500
in the lead.
Yeah, which is actually doubling my original stack, and then coloring up the extra 150, which were no longer in play, to a $500 chip, and I exactly doubled it. And then yesterday I just kind of slight balloonage, just destroyed everyone. And
okay, so you're one of, at least in the online world, and now you're proving yourself to be in the live world also. I mean, you're definitely one of the best big stack players out there. Now, what is it? Like, let's talk about some hands that you use your skills, your big stack skills, to maintain this chip lead. I mean, it's very rare that we see somebody be a chip leader at the end of day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. I don't know if this is day 5 or day 4, but it's very unusual that happens. And certainly, I don't know that it's ever happened in the World Poker Tour. I haven't really.
We had a hand before the dinner break, I think it was. The blinds were 8K and 16K. And the guy wants to know what I had, and I'm not going to say it on this because this is probably going to air before the final table is over. But the guy to my right, I had gone to raise. He looked at the clock, realized we were on dinner, and folded. And I said to him, that was probably a good move. And I looked down to my 2 hole cards, and I made it 48,000 from 2 off the button. And the guy in the cutoff called the 48,000, and the guy in the big blind called. And the flop came down 9-7-6 with 2 hearts and a diamond. And I bet think 82,000. No, I bet 77,000. That's what I bet, because I was trying to give off like maybe perhaps a bet tell, and I might have 7-7, but which would be middle set, and then make him think that, whatever I was trying to make him think. But the cutoff called, and the big blind folded, and the turn was a 9, pairing the top pair. I couldn't really put him on a 9 here. He didn't play that spewy. Like, he was kind of spewy, but he didn't play that spewy to have a 9 in his hand, I didn't think. Unless he had ace-9, which I felt he would have raised the flop because of the flush draw and the straight draw. So I bet another 140,000, and he called with like 335,000 left. And the river came out of 6, so it was now 9-9-7-6-6. Double paired board. The heart draw missed, and the action was on me because I'm out of position. And I looked over and I saw Kim, the beautiful WPT girl who's been interviewing me the whole time. She kind of winked at me because I had a big pile of chips. And at that point, I grabbed 400,000. Basically moved the guy in. And he thought for a while. And he said he was contemplating calling with King 10 of Hearts on the river for King High. And he ended up folding. And that's basically how my day is gone. There was another situation where...
Well, why was he calling you with the King 10 high?
Well, he King 10 of Hearts. He
there's
fought
a
flush draw and a
okay.
gutter ball. And then there was another situation where I had raised ace 10 from under the gun. At that same level, I made like maybe 46,000. I folded around the big blind called, and the flop came 9-7-6. He checked and I checked. And the turn was a king, and I felt like that was a good card to represent. And he checked, and I bet maybe 70,000, and he called. And then the river was an 8, giving me the straight, and he checked. And I just took a stack of 200K, and I bet it, and the guy called with like maybe 250 behind. And he looked me up, and I had the straight, and I took down a very nice pot. And that's basically how my day went all day. When I wanted them to call, they called. And when I wanted them to fold.
Now, is that because, do you feel that you've been doing a good job of getting it in people's heads and under their skin?
I just think my reads have been dead on. And my reads of whether or not my opponents would fold if I needed them to fold. Not saying in the first hand I needed my opponent to fold. But I'm just saying in general. All right, I had Queen 8 of diamonds. But I missed my straight draw. King High was good. But just trying to delay putting it up as long as possible.
Right. So your best live finish is chopping up actually coming in second at a Foxwoods prelim event for about $100,000.
Yeah.
You guys are already guaranteed more than that now.
Really? I have no idea what the payouts are. I don't even want to know.
Okay. Well, I won't tell you that.
I know what first is.
First place is
so many
1.3
people are
million.
like, go get that 1.3 million. So I can't really ignore what that is, but I don't know what the other payouts are. I really don't care.
So will this affect your life going forward with the win? And
as far as the money,
and like your poker life, like how will your plans for poker change if you take this thing down?
My plans won't change. I've been sponsored for almost the last. It's going to be 2 years, end of September. I've been sponsored by the same people who are great people. Even if I won this, I probably would stay with them. Just a comfort issue. I think you need a 7-figure bankroll to do this professionally, as far as tour, as far as all the buy-ins and playing prelim events and whatnot. And you got the cost for hotels and partying when you're on the road
definitely,
with friends sometimes.
It definitely adds up.
So I'd probably stay with them, but pretty much if I get first, the first thing I'm going to do with the money is set up my 3 nephews, Timmy, Tyler, and Kyle, and my niece Madison with college funds. So I didn't go to college. I understand if they wouldn't go to college, but I want them to have that option. I don't want finances to be a reason for them to say no to college.
What you should do is go ahead and put that money in PokerStars accounts for them. So if they don't use it for college, then it can be their poker bankroll I'm
going to put some kind of stipulation on the money where it has to be used to college, or I'll be involved with it some other way with to benefit them
Right.
in life in the future.
Well, that's nice. So one more question for you before I know you have to go. You guys are
Yeah.
getting close to
I have to go grab my
kickoff time
parents
here.
upstairs. My mom and my stepdad flew in, so
That's nice. Everyone's here, and I'll be railing you also, by the way.
my dad tried to get off work, but he couldn't. He was
That's too
heartbroken.
bad. So what is your strategy? You're going in. You have 40% of the chips in play with 6 players left. Are we going to see typical Bologna style where you're just going to be steamrolling the table, or do you plan on sitting back a little bit and letting some of these other players go after each other?
I'm probably gonna. I'm not gonna be a nit in the beginning, but I'm not gonna probably look to open every time it folds to me. I'll probably sit back and see what everyone's doing and what they're about. I have a pretty decent draw where Eric and the Russian guy, who no disrespect to them, but it's more of a respect factor to the other 3 players. They're to my immediate left. So, and then it goes Matisau and then Danny Wong, who I think is being overlooked in this whole situation, just because of how, you have Matisau and then you have me, the online pro with all the chips. Then you have Shane, who Matisau has been calling the online donkey the whole time. He's been calling me an online donkey too, but I think he's trying to, with me, I think it's more playful. But with Shane, I think he's really trying to get in Shane's head. But I have direct position on Shane, and then Danny, I'm going to have position on 4 or 6 hands, and then Matisau, it's just indifferent in the beginning. So I like my position as far as having the tougher players on my right.
Well, definitely Shane to me seems like the toughest competition there.
Well,
so it's good to have position on him.
Yeah, Shane is definitely a poker talent. I have my plans as far as with each player. Hopefully, I think most things that I want to go right can go right if we manage to keep Danny Wong down and get him short and get him out of there. I think that's going to be the key to any of us trying to win this tournament, is getting, Danny's coming in, I think, with 800,000, which, 800,000, the lines are 12 and 24. He's still got 30 big lines. So, I know he's totally comfortable where he's at, and he's not in panic mode at all. He's not going to be, getting all his chips in right away with his big hand. But I just don't want to see him double up. And I'd see him get out of there. And I'm going to try and keep my stat fluctuating up like I have all tournament, instead of being up and down like I was in the 1K rebuy, the 2K no limit that I went deep in. I had some stack fluctuations, and the stack fluctuations can put me on tilt, and so it's not easy on the stomach.
All right, well, you guys have about 50 minutes here before kickoff time, so best of luck. I'll be there rooting for you.
I appreciate it.
And I'd love to see you take home a WPT title.
And thank you, everyone, for rallying me at home.
All right. Well, that's it for today's episode of Stacking Chips. I'll be back tomorrow to answer the rest of those email questions that have come in during the World Series. Thanks again for tuning in. Good luck. And Kevin, once again from myself, John Pokerchip Friedberg, and Kevin below above Saul.
Oh, I don't even get to do it now.
He doesn't even have to say his own name. That's how big time he is now. Good luck, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.